young women, and I talk to young conservative women all the time about their lives and their goals and, the things that they want. And what's happening is they can't find men who are maybe more conservative. Usually they're looking for somebody who is religious, like a lot of conservative women tend to be God-loving conservatives. And they can't find a lot of young men who want to marry a working woman now. This is an actual problem that's coming up on the right. And to me, it's so sad because it's like, how did we get to the point where we're now telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not attractive if they also work, if they choose to, let's say, do what I'm doing and what you're doing and get their voice out there. But I'll stick with me just because I think conservatives listening to this will like the thought of another Megyn Kelly voice up and coming. Well, why wouldn't we want that? Why would we take somebody who's talented in this field and really wants to make a difference and have the messaging to her be, you're really not that valuable unless you give it up and go into the home and only have a family and only raise a family. And not only are we sending her that message, but young men are actually believing that. They're actually believing it, especially on the right, because the trad mom has gotten so popular. And it's no, if we do that, we're not going to have any strong conservative or right-leaning women to provide a role model for younger conservative women who, and there's nothing to apologize for here, don't necessarily want to spend all their 20s and their 30s getting married and having kids, or can't. They just weren't able to meet somebody and definitely don't need to be shamed over it. Another...
I think that was it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Reactions from the panel. Agree, disagree?
Ooh, 50-50.
I agree to an extent. I think you can still work and be a voice and still be a mom, a present mom. For instance, at my organization, we're full of women who are pro-life activists. And many of our staffers who are moms bring their babies to go and table on college campuses to educate people. And I mean, my staff likes to joke about how one day when I do have kids, I can bring my real life baby model instead of my fetal models around and talk about babies with my actual baby when I'm on college campuses. So you can absolutely do both. You can be a voice, a conservative voice, because I do think that's important. And I do think we need, especially conservative pro-life Christian women, to be voices out there. It's very important. But no, I think you can still do both. You can still be a mother and do that at the same time.
Pull up. He says the difference between the romantic interests of men and women could perhaps best be summarized this way. If you give a man a choice between an attractive, sweet, kind, feminine grocery store cashier who makes $13 an hour and wants nothing more than to become a mother one day, or a high-powered, ambitious, loud, rich corporate girl boss whose greatest dream is to be a CEO one day, most men will choose the former without hesitation. If you give women the same choice, the mild-mannered scroll down, unambitious guy working a cash register, the highly paid corporate go-getter, you're going to have a lot more takers for the latter option. Am I saying that most women are greedy gold diggers looking... Wait, this is just from his video, isn't it? Maybe we should just play his video. Scroll down a little bit. Scroll to the very bottom. Okay. No, don't. Let's go back to the video then. Why don't we just play the video? Yeah, and then F11
By
here.
the way, Rachel ratioed both of those women on those posts.
Oh, nice. Then go to video tab and then hit play. All right.
A man is not looking for a business partner. He's not looking for someone to provide for him. He wants a wife. He wants a mother for his future children. He wants a helpmate. He wants a woman, not a man. This is not a new phenomenon. Megyn calls this desire of young men a problem that is coming up on the right. But it's not a problem, and it's not coming up. Kim Iverson responded in agreement with Megyn and said that she, quote, doesn't get this trad wife trend. But what she's calling a trend, or what Megyn says is just coming up, is in fact the norm. It's the way human society has been organized since the dawn of civilization. A young man seeking a woman who will have his children and prioritize raising them and keeping a home is doing the same thing that billions of other young men have done since time immemorial. This traditional approach is not some new fad invented by TikTok influencers, nor is it a far-right conspiracy. It is the way of human civilization. These young men, they want what their grandfathers wanted, and what their grandfathers' grandfathers wanted, and what their grandfathers' grandfathers' grandfathers wanted, and on through the ages. The trend, the fad, the new thing, Megyn, is feminism. However you feel about career women who find their value and purpose in the working world, there's no question that they are the ones doing something new. Feminism sent women out of the home and into cubicles and boardrooms. Feminism convinced many women to desire professional success over and above family and children. And now feminists are angry that men were not reprogrammed along with them. Okay? Men don't want what feminism is selling. You may think they should want it. You may want them to want it, but they don't. They look out and they see that ever since the rise of feminism, divorce rates have skyrocketed, birth rates have plummeted, 60 million babies are dead, and most people are, by every metric, much more miserable. And they don't want that. You cannot make them want it. And getting angry at them for not wanting it is, first of all, fruitless, second, arrogant, third, unfair, and fourth, foolish.
He's so quick.
Because these young men that Megyn is referring to have an innate desire to be providers. Okay? That's why they are not especially interested in women who put their careers first. They want to provide. The desire to provide is a noble desire. Even if many of these men will end up splitting the financial load with their wives in some way, still the desire to provide is noble, and it should be encouraged, not shamed. It's not sad. There's nothing sad here, Megyn. These young men are experiencing a deep, ancient yearning, a yearning to leave home and find a wife and become one flesh, as the scripture says, and then to have children and carry on their bloodline, and then to go back out into the world on a mission to provide for their family, thereby fulfilling their destiny as men. This desire is primal and timeless. It is not a primal, timeless desire for a colleague or a business partner. It is a desire for a wife, a woman he can provide for and fight for and conquer the world for. And in return, he wants a woman who will have his children and raise and love them and prioritize them above anything and show him appreciation and respect and affection. That's what young men want. That's what any man wants. Almost every young man wants this until our feminist matriarchal society beats it out of him or convinces him that he can never have it. He can never have the thing that his grandfather had, and that his grandfather's grandfathers had, and his grandfather's grandfathers had, and on and on and on. So if you want to know why so many young men are demoralized and depressed and broken, it's because for their whole lives they've been told that what they want down at the deepest level of their soul they should not want and they cannot have. Every man before them in history could have it, but not men. We're too enlightened for that now. The feminists took over, and they know better. They know better than our ancestors knew. They know better than the combined wisdom of all human history. That's the message that these young men hear.
Yes, but I can after the show.
You want to talk about sad, Megyn? That's sad.
Reactions.
That was so beautifully
Reactions.
said.
Yeah, I agree completely with him.
I agree with
Reactions.
that. I think he's allowed to,
I agree with you. He's allowed to say that. What do you think?
I think.
Sorry, Lauren.
I thought the line was interesting where it's like every man is going to have the desire to provide, and that's a great thing, but he'll have to end up sharing the financial responsibility with his wife in some cases. And I think that's just a situation that, sadly, modern day people have to be prepared for. So in that case, would you take the grocery store cashier that's making $13 an hour? Would that be the amount of time and hours she has to work be a relevant use of time compared to when she could be taking care of your children, but she can't because she has to do both? So I would prioritize in just all of tonight's conversation an educated woman that may have to work but still loves family and wants to spend time with her kids. There's a balance for it all.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't agree with it. I don't think it's I don't think it's balanced at all. I think, look, there's no good way to reconcile that if you can spend the most amount of time with your children, then you should.
Oh,
There's no way to reconcile it any other direction than that. And the thing is that most people can and don't. Instead, what they do is they prioritize themselves, and then they do outsourcing to prioritize themselves. They won't take material cuts. They won't live a little smaller. They won't have not a luxury automobile. They won't have the, not Netflix, whatever it is within the budgetary confines in order to materially pursue something. And it's like, I don't really think it's a give and take, and I don't think it's about balance. I think it's basically, there's one way which is always correct, which is to prioritize towards the children, even if it's at the expense of the parents.
Totally, but that's just Matt's example. I think it deserves to be said.
So do you still want to be a boss babe?
Not when it comes at the expense of my children, but I am perfectly happy having a career until I reach that point.
But I guess this all stems from when we were talking about the relationship status. You were dating a guy for 2 years, and there's the mismatch when it came to religion. He was Mormon, you're not Mormon, mismatch there. But I guess what seems to have led to the breakup really wasn't so much that. It was he wanted kids, he wanted to get married. The timeline was different because if it was the Mormon thing, although look, to be charitable, maybe you fell more into your faith. Maybe I shouldn't have presented that argument for you before you brought it up, but you would have known he was Mormon right away, wouldn't you? But you proceeded to date him for 2 years despite this. So at least the way you presented it, it occurs to me that the primary thing was you wanted to boss babe it up. He wanted to have family, kids, marriage quick. Is that fair to say?
No, and I prefer to not use that scenario. It's honestly just too complicated to talk about here. Mostly a religious thing.
Okay.
What did you disagree with him on the religion?
I don't want to get into it.
Okay, sorry.
But I'm just confused. So you knew when you first met him he was Mormon, right? If that's a deal breaker, why did you date him?
I think we both just thought each other could change. I think he thought I could change. I thought I could see change in him, and ultimately it didn't work out.
Well, change what? Religion?
Just more religious compatibility.
I mean, I feel like maybe you could get somebody to pick up after themselves, but to change their religion.
It's a common thing. Christian girls will do missionary dating where they date a guy to try and convert him. It's terrible.
It is
Maybe,
very true.
Like if he's an atheist, maybe.
Or even just different. It's totally a thing. I work
someone
so Christian girls are dating Muslims. That's not going to work out.
Thinking that they're
not like Muslims, just people that aren't as strong in their faith, and we women think that we can make them
but Mormonism's
stronger.
a different faith, isn't it?
You guys do recognize that that's terrible, yes?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
What'd you say?
You recognize that that's terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Oh yeah. That's
absolutely.
why. Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I just don't know about the whole boss babe thing.
It's okay.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Any other boss babes at the table?
I think I'm a boss babe a little bit, but not a little bit.
I plan on working still when I have kids.
Teeny bit.
Okay. Boss babe shit. All right. That's cool. Was there another video? There was. No, I don't think. Well, I mean, we could actually react to Andrew. Do you know if you have a short 1 or 2 minute clip with your thing with Tommy Lauren?
I don't have one handy, no.
Okay.
I would have sent one over if you had let me know.
Well, what essentially was, maybe instead of watching the video, maybe we could do that next time. What was your disagreement with Tommy?
I asked Tommy what was the actual social duties that women had in society, which was on par with men's social duties. And she said essentially nothing. Tommy Lauren, essentially her position was, men want to do this, and the reward that they get is they get to see me happy. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah. So we kind of talked about that earlier, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then.
No, it did span into other things.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was the root of the argument.
Sure.
And the root of most of these arguments when it comes to the social dynamics between men and women is that for a long time, men have been getting the shit kicked out of them in society as being the expendable class of society. And this has been under the guise of acting as though there was some authoritative patriarchy who instead was oppressing women, when the opposite has always been true, that under men's authority, women thrive. And so that's been the idea socially for a long time.
Sure.
And we've been able now to begin to take this inverted idea and reverse it to where it's actually supposed to be, which is like, no, it turns out men being in charge of fucking everything is a really, really good idea. It's just a really good idea for society. And when you look at all the numbers, all the stats, all the data, all of the various effects and outcomes, turns out that men are really good at this shit and women really aren't. And that's it. And there's not really good arguments against that. And women have social privilege in society, which is needed because they have to reproduce the next generation, but they're fucking not. And so why aren't they? Right? And do they have an obligation to? Yeah. And the answer for most women is that they don't. That's a problem.